Have you ever felt that inexplicable tension in the air? That man who looks at you in a different way, who looks for reasons to be close, who freezes when you speak, but never says anything directly? He is committed. He has a built life. And yet, there is something among you that no one dares to name. The question that corrodes is, why does he act like this if there is someone waiting for him at home? And even more disturbing, why does he himself seem confused, almost lost, as if he is being pulled by an invisible force that he does not control? Carl Jung revealed a brutal truth about the male psyche. There is a hidden territory within every man, a place where a woman dwells whom he has never met, but who completely dominates him. When you appear in his life, something ancestral awakens, something he doesn't know how to explain, because it's beyond words, beyond logic, beyond his own consciousness. What you're about to discover is going to completely change the way you view attraction, desire, and the male mind. 1. The ideal woman who lives in his head. Since he was born, every man carries within himself an image. It's not something he chose to create or that he learned from anyone. It is as if it came from the factory, programmed into the deepest layers of the mind. Jung called this the anima, the inner feminine figure that every man possesses, whether he wants it or not. This image has no defined face at first. It is made up of feelings, sensations, desires that he doesn't even know how to name properly. It's the first woman he's ever met, usually his mother, mixed in with all the stories he's heard, the movies he's watched, the songs that have touched him. The problem is that this ideal woman never really exists. She is a mixture of fantasy, emotional need, and distorted memories. When he was a child, this image was linked to comfort, to the lap, to the soft voice that calmed. As she grew up, she gained other layers: beauty, mystery, strength, delicacy. She has become everything he misses in himself, everything he can't express or live openly. Here's the crux of the matter. When he meets someone in real life, his brain starts making automatic comparisons. It's as if he had an invisible mold and was testing each woman who crosses his path to see if she fits. Most of the time, it doesn't fit perfectly. But every once in a while, someone comes along who activates this mold in an intense way. It doesn't have to be perfect. It is enough to have some strokes, some gestures, some energy that resonates with that inner image. He does not understand rationally what he is feeling. What he feels is an overwhelming impulse, an attraction that seems greater than himself. It's as if you've finally found something you've been looking for your whole life, without knowing you were looking for. The feeling is one of recognition, almost like meeting someone he has known for millennia. When this happens to a married man, chaos ensues. He has already made a choice. Have you ever built a life with someone, but this new presence messes with layers that the current relationship may never have reached? Suddenly, everything he thought was resolved in his emotional life goes up in smoke. He begins to question feelings, decisions, even his own identity. The man realizes that he is acting strange. You realize that you think about this person more than you should, but there are no words to explain why. When they try to ask, or when he tries to question himself, the answers sound empty or confusing. I don't know, she's different. There's something about her. I feel very close to her. These are sentences that explain nothing because the true answer is buried in territories of the mind that language does not reach properly. Jung understood that this dynamic has nothing to do with real love in the mature sense of the word. It has to do with projection. He is seeing in this person all the emotional load he carries within himself. He is in love not with who she really is, but with what she represents in the inner theater of his psyche. That's why often, if something really happens between the two, the magic fades quickly. But at the moment of attraction, none of that matters. He only feels the urgency, the need to be close, to protect, to conquer, to merge with that presence. Everything inside him screams that he has found something essential. And the more he tries to rationalize or repress, the stronger the obsession becomes. Because you can't negotiate with archetypal forces. They do not obey logic or morals. They simply exist, pulsate, demand attention. 2. Why do you wake up something different in him? There's something about the way you act that unlocks a door that has been locked for years. It's not about being prettier or more interesting than other people. It's about frequency. You vibrate in a tune that his mind recognizes as dangerously irresistible. Jung said that certain people function as keys to dormant parts of our psyche. When he sees you, it's not just physical attraction that happens. It is a deep psychological awakening. Everyone wears social masks. Jung called this the persona, the character that we represent in the world to be accepted. A married man, especially, uses a well-defined persona, the provider, the responsible, the stable partner. He embodied this role so well that he sometimes forgets that there is much more within him. Wild emotions, forbidden desires, creative or rebellious parts that have been sacrificed on the altar of organized adult life. All of this is stored in an area that Jung called the shadow. When you show up, something changes. Maybe it's the way you speak without excessive filtering. Maybe it's the freedom you express. Maybe it's an emotional intensity he hasn't seen in a long time. Whatever it is, you charge an energy that touches directly into his shadow. Suddenly he remembers that he was also spontaneous. He remembers that he has had crazy dreams. He remembers who he was before he became predictable. You're not doing anything on purpose. It's simply that your authentic presence creates a stark contrast to his life. He looks at you and sees possibilities. He sees an alternate version of existence where he doesn't have to carry so much weight on his back, where it can be lighter, more intense, more alive. The attraction he feels is not only sexual desire, although that is also present. It's a hunger for experience, to feel something new, to break the emotional routine that has become a prison without him realizing it. There are men who live 10, 15, 20 years on autopilot. He wakes up, works, goes home, repeats. And all of a sudden, you cross paths with him, and it's like someone turns on all the lights at once. This scares him as much as it attracts. Because waking up those parts means confronting choices you've made. It means admitting that he may have buried important parts of himself to fit into a mold that seemed right at the time. It means looking at the life built and questioning whether it really fulfills you or if it is just a comfortable but empty structure. You become a dangerous mirror. Not because it reflects his defects, but because it reflects possibilities. Everything he could be or feel if he made different choices. Jung believed that individuation, the process of becoming who we really are, requires integrating these rejected parts. But most people spend their entire lives running away from this job because it is too uncomfortable. When he looks at you with that inexplicable intensity, what he is really looking at is the very soul reflected in you. He is seeing aspects of himself that have been exiled, and the pull you feel is actually a desire to be reunited with those lost parts. Of course, he is not aware of this. He only feels an absurd magnetism and does not know where it comes from. The danger here is that none of this is sustainable. Psychological projections are like fireworks. They explode with intensity but go out quickly. If he acted on this attraction alone, he would eventually discover that you are not the magic answer to his dilemmas. Because the whole is inside it, not outside. But in the heat of the moment, this truth is invisible. If this video touched something you've always felt but could never explain, it means the attraction goes deeper than reason. In the pinned comment, I left the Jung Method, a guide to help you understand why he's drawn to you and what that reveals about your unconscious. Verse 3, the void he tries to fill. There is a type of loneliness that has nothing to do with being alone. It is possible to share a bed with someone every night and still feel a corrosive emptiness in your chest. Jung understood that many relationships work perfectly on the surface. There is cooperation, respect, even affection. But there is a lack of connection to deeper layers. The man can be married and still feel that no one really sees him. This emptiness does not appear overnight. It is forming little by little, like rust. In the beginning, the relationship had fire, curiosity, discovery. Over time, it became routine. The conversations were predictable. Sex has become mechanical or rare. Shared dreams have become bills to pay and problems to solve. He wakes up one day and realizes that he has everything that society says he should have. The house, the family, the stability. But something essential is missing. It is something more subtle and deeper. It is the feeling of being truly alive, of feeling intensely, of existing beyond obligations. Jung talked about the importance of what he called lower function, aspects of personality that we don't develop because we focus on others. A man who has spent his whole life being practical, rational, and responsible may have completely stifled the emotional, creative, or spontaneous side. That side does not disappear. It is latent, creating an internal pressure that manifests itself as restlessness, existential boredom, or that silent question that does not silence. Is that all? When you appear in his life, it's like bringing oxygen to a stuffy room. Suddenly he feels intense things again. Go back to having conversations that matter. He feels seen again, not as a social function, but as a person. You fill that void not because you are perfect, but because you represent everything that is absent. The mistake that many people make is to think that this emptiness is the fault of the current partner. But Jung made it clear that emptiness is internal. It is the result of an unexamined life, of choices made on autopilot, of parts of the soul that have been neglected. Switching partners without doing the inside work only transfers the problem. But at the moment of intense attraction, these nuances disappear. All he feels is temporary relief. Near you, emptiness disappears. He feels whole again. It's like finding water after crossing a desert. What he doesn't realize is that he's using you as anesthesia. It's not genuine love you're feeling. It's dependence on how you make it feel. It is addiction to the feeling of being alive again. When someone becomes responsible for filling our emptiness, the relationship is no longer healthy. It becomes emotional parasitism. There is also the time component. He feels that life is passing by and that he has lost important things along the way. He looks in the mirror and sees that he is no longer young. He realizes that the possibilities are decreasing. You become a symbol of a last chance, of a door still open before it's too late. This void that he tries to fill with his presence is, in fact, a calling. A call to look within, to question choices, to integrate rejected parts of the personality. But doing this work is difficult and painful. It's much easier to design the solution onto someone else. That's why the attraction is so strong, so confusing, so impossible to explain. 4. Between doing right and feeling wrong. The human mind is not made to deal well with contradictions. We want things to be clear. Either it's yes or it's no. Either it is right or it is wrong. But real life doesn't work like that. And it is in this space between what he should feel and what he really feels that this man is trapped. He knows what is right. He knows that he has commitments, responsibilities, that he has made promises. The rational part of him repeats this like a mantra, but there is another part, much older and more powerful, that does not care about social rules or consequences. Jung understood that we are made of opposites, conscious and unconscious, reason and instinct, duty and desire. The process of psychological maturation involves learning to live with these tensions without letting one side destroy the other. But most people have never developed this skill. So when the conflict appears with force, it becomes an internal battlefield. During the day, the civilized part of him is in control. He goes to work, fulfills obligations, acts as he should. But in moments of silence, in traffic, in the shower, before going to sleep, the other party screams. It brings your image, your voice, the way you look at it, and the more he tries to suffocate, the more noise they make. This type of conflict generates brutal psychological tension. It's like holding a compressed spring. The energy needs to go somewhere. Some men get irritated for no reason. Others immerse themselves in work so as not to think. Others begin to emotionally withdraw from their partner because the guilt of feeling what they feel turns into unconscious resentment. Society teaches that desiring someone else when you're engaged is wrong. Period. And in many ways, this is an important rule to protect family ties and structures. But Jung was not interested in moral judgment. I was interested in understanding the psyche as it is, not as it should be. And the inconvenient truth is that being attracted to other people, even when you're in a relationship, is absolutely normal. What varies is the intensity and what we do with it. The problem begins when the attraction becomes an obsession, when it stops being a passing thought and becomes a constant presence. When he realizes that he is making excuses to meet you, to talk to you, to be in the same room, then he knows he has lost control. and that terrifies him. He may even try to walk away. You can decide that you will cut contact, that you will focus on what you have, that you will do the right thing. And it works for a few days. But then something simple, a message, a chance encounter, the sound of your laughter, and it all falls apart. And with each cycle of these, the guilt increases, the confusion increases. What makes it worse is that he has no one to talk to about it. You can't go to your friends and say, "I'm obsessed with someone else, but I can't stop." You can't talk to your partner, obviously. So he is left alone with this weight, spinning in circles inside his own head. Jung would say that this conflict is an opportunity in disguise. It's the psyche forcing him to look at issues he was avoiding. Why does this specific person have so much power over him? What does it represent that is missing? What parts of him are asking for attention through this attraction? These are difficult questions, but they are the path to real resolution. 5. When what he has is not enough. No one likes to admit that what they have built is not working. There is a giant emotional investment in believing that the choices we made were right. Years of life together, shared stories, maybe children, assets, a whole social network built around the relationship. Questioning all this is like questioning life itself. That's why it's easier to pretend that everything is fine, until someone comes along and exposes the truth he was avoiding. The relationship may be working on a practical level. The bills are paid, the house is in order, social commitments are fulfilled. But on the emotional and spiritual level, what really matters to feeling alive, it's empty. They became business partners, not lovers. They became roommates, not connected souls. Jung talked about the importance of genuine connection, not the superficial where we exchange information and fulfill social rituals, but the deep where we really show ourselves, where we are vulnerable. Many relationships lose this over time. People stop showing themselves for real because they are afraid of being judged or rejected. When he meets you, he feels like it can be real, maybe because you don't have a shared history with him, so you don't have fixed expectations. Maybe because you still look at it with curiosity, not with that tired look of someone who already knows all the flaws. Maybe because in front of you he doesn't have to be the perfect provider or the exemplary husband. It could be just him. He begins to compare. It's not conscious at first, but it happens. The way you laugh versus how she laughs. The way you listen versus how she always seems to have her head on something else. And every comparison is a knife, because it shows that what he has, which should be enough, is not being. The problem is not necessarily that the partner is bad. He can be an excellent person. The problem is that the relationship died emotionally and no one had the courage to do resuscitation. They were just managing the corpse, pretending that it is still breathing. This generates monstrous guilt, because he knows it's not fair to compare. He knows he's romanticizing you because he's new and mysterious, while his partner has become predictable because he shares the weight of real life with him. The rational part of him knows all this, but the emotional part is not listening. Jung understood that the desire for novelty is not superficial. It has to do with the human need for growth, not to be stagnant. The psyche needs stimulation, challenge, mystery. When everything becomes a predictable routine, something inside us begins to die. Many couples don't do this work. Accommodate. They stop striving. They stop seducing each other. They stop having deep conversations. They become machines for solving practical problems. And then they are amazed when one of the two is attracted to another person who brings back something that was dead. He looks at the life he has and realizes that he has set up a structure that is beautiful on the outside, but hollow on the inside. He has security but no passion. There is company but no connection. It has a routine but no life. And you appear as a painful reminder that there is another way of existing. The hard truth is that no one person can be everything to another. No relationship is going to fulfill all emotional needs all the time. But it's also true that relationships need to offer something essential in addition to convenience. They need to feed the soul, not just organize their lives. 6. You are everything he cannot be. There's something in you that he recognizes but can't name. It's like looking at one's own inverted reflection. You carry qualities that he buried so long ago that he even forgot that he once had them. Maybe it's emotional freedom. Maybe it's courage to be authentic. Maybe it's lightness. Whatever it is, you live something he sacrificed to fit the mold of a responsible adult man. Jung explained that as we grow up, we are forced to choose who we will be. Society, family, circumstances are shaping and cutting parts of us. A sensitive boy learns that a man does not cry. A creative kid learns that he needs to be practical. And little by little, whole pieces of the personality are thrown into the basement of the psyche. You represent these locked parts. When he looks at you, he's not just seeing you. You're seeing everything he could have been if he had made different choices. He is seeing the untrodden path. You're seeing the version of him who was left behind when he decided to be safe instead of taking risks. Maybe you're spontaneous and he's become too calculating. Maybe you're emotional and he's learned to suppress everything. Maybe you're adventurous and he's opted for absolute security. It doesn't matter exactly what it looks like. What matters is that you mirror something that he killed inside himself, and that he now screams asking to come back to life. This creates a strange and intense dynamic. He doesn't just want to be with you in a romantic or sexual sense. He wants to absorb what you have. He wants to recover through you what he has lost in himself. It is almost vampiric, though it is neither intentional nor malicious. Jung called this the projection of the anima when it happens from man to woman. Man projects onto woman all the feminine qualities that he has rejected in himself. Sensitivity, intuition, receptivity, creativity. Everything that has been taught that is not masculine is repressed. And when you find someone who embodies these qualities freely and naturally, there is an explosion of recognition and desire. The problem is that this is not real love. Real love sees the other person as they are. Projection sees the other person as a symbol, as a tool to fill inner hole. As long as you serve the purpose of mirroring what he has lost, the intensity continues. But if it starts showing dimensions that don't fit the projection, the illusion breaks. You may notice that he idealizes too much. That puts you on a pedestal, that attributes qualities that you don't even really have. This is a clear sign of projection. He's not seeing you. You are seeing your own soul reflected in you. There is also the component that you experience things that he has given up living. Maybe you still have dreams while he abandoned his. Maybe you still believe in possibilities while he has conformed. Being close to you is a constant reminder that he didn't have to give up. In the end, you are a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. They show what's there, even if it hurts. The question is whether he will use this reflection to grow, or if he will just break the mirror when the truth becomes too uncomfortable. 7. The attraction that comes from much deeper. There is a level of the mind that is not only yours or only his. Jung called it the collective unconscious, a layer of the psyche that all humans share. In it live patterns, images, stories that have existed for thousands of years. They are the archetypes, the mother, the hero, the shadow, and many others. They are prior to language, prior to civilization, and they influence our behaviors and attractions in ways that consciousness barely notices. When the attraction is so strong that it seems irrational, it's often because it's touched one of these old patterns. It's not just about you as an individual. It's about what you represent on the archetypal level. Maybe you activate in him the archetype of the maiden, that figure of pure potential, of beginnings, of the promise of something new. Or maybe it's the mistress archetype, the presence that arouses passion, that reminds us that there is life beyond duty. These forces do not reason. They operate by symbols and sensations. When they are activated, the person may feel that they have known you for 1,000 years, even though they have just met. You can feel that you have found something essential, almost mystical. It's not crazy. It is the psyche recognizing patterns that transcend individual experience. The problem is that the modern world does not teach how to deal with archetypal forces. We think we are totally rational, that we control our choices. But the truth is that we are moved by currents much deeper than consciousness can reach. These currents come from old places in the psyche, places that don't care about logic or social convenience. When he feels this overwhelming attraction and cannot explain it, it is because the explanation is not at the rational level. It's at that primitive and powerful level. He can even invent reasons. She's beautiful, she understands me, we have chemistry. But these are superficial rationalizations for something much deeper. Jung believed that these encounters have purpose, not in the sense of romantic destiny, but in the sense of psychological development. When something or someone activates an archetype, it is because there is internal work to be done. The mistake is to think that the external person is the answer. She's just the trigger. Many inexplicable and destructive passions happen because someone has been captured by an archetypal force without knowing it. Then they make impulsive decisions. They quit relationships, abandon responsibilities, burn lives, all under the spell of something they think is true love but is actually psychic possession. He may feel that you are special in a way that no one else is. And in a sense it is true, but not in the way he thinks. You are special because you activated something in it that was dormant, because it served as a portal to deep layers of his own psyche. This explains why sometimes the attraction is immediate and devastating. It didn't take time to build. It was like instant recognition. It is because it was not his conscience that he recognized. It was something much older. It was the unconscious detecting a familiar pattern, an echo of something primordial. The challenge here is that as long as the person is under the effect of this force, it is almost impossible to reason. It's like being drunk. Perception is distorted. Everything seems more intense, more meaningful, more urgent. It is only when the psychic drunkenness wears off that clarity returns. 8. What he really seeks, but cannot say. Deep down, what he is looking for is not you. It's him. It is the part of him that has been lost along the way. It's the feeling of being really alive, not just functioning. It's genuine connection, not just coexistence. It is felt, not just survival. But as the psyche works through symbols and projections, it puts all of this on you. Jung understood that the journey of individuation, the process of becoming who we really are, necessarily involves confronting these projections, to go through the illusion that someone else can complete us and arrive at the hard truth that only we ourselves can do this work. No one can fill our void. No one can give us meaning. When he looks at you with that intensity that he cannot explain, what he is really looking at is his own soul. You have become a canvas on which he projects everything that is missing, everything you want but don't know how to look for within yourself. You are the magic mirror showing a version of him that may still be possible. What he seeks is totality. We all seek. We spend our whole lives trying to feel complete, whole, at peace. And we mistakenly think that this comes from external circumstances, the right partner, the right job, the right house. But Jung knew that totality does not come from outside. It comes from integrating all parts of ourselves, including the ones we reject. The obsessive attraction he feels is his psyche screaming that there is inner work to be done, that he cannot continue to live in fragmentation, using only half of himself while the other half rots in the basement of consciousness. You simply had the misfortune or the luck to become the symbol of it all. He probably won't do that job. Most don't. It's easier to keep projecting, blaming circumstances, changing partners, looking for the next person who promises to fill the void. Some men spend their entire lives in this cycle. What he really seeks is permission. Permission to be who he really is, not who he needs to be to fit the mold. Permission to feel intensely again. Permission to want more out of life than just survive. And since you can't give that permission to yourself, you project that you can give it. If he had developed emotional vocabulary, he would say something like this: "You remind me of who I was before I lost myself. It makes me feel that it is still possible to live instead of just existing. It activates parts of me that were numb. It forces me to question everything I've built because in front of you, I realize how much I betrayed myself." But he doesn't have those words. Then he is trapped in the confused silence, in the inexplicable intensity, in the desire that he does not know how to name. And the more you ask him what he feels, the more he freezes. Because the layers from which this feeling comes do not have an easy verbal translation. Jung would say that moments like this are golden opportunities, moments where the psyche forces the person to wake up, where you can no longer continue on autopilot. But opportunity does not guarantee transformation. Many waste these moments. The ideal would be for him to use this attraction as a portal to self-knowledge. I would ask, why this person specifically? What does it represent that is missing in me? What parts of me have asked for attention through it? How can I integrate these parts without relying on someone external? In the end, what he seeks is what we all seek. To feel that life has meaning, that we exist for more than obligations, that we are still capable of feeling, of desiring, of dreaming. You have only become a temporary symbol of it all. And when he understands, if he understands, he will realize that the journey does not end with you. It only begins with himself.